Hello, I am back with another update about identity because things have changed and I am excited to share them and to document them. And I will do my best not to ramble because I can tend to do that. And I'm trying to be better at having a point and getting to it quicker. I'm realizing that I am not as great of a verbal processor as I used to be, so perhaps it's all my poetry now, who knows, but I'm here to try. This month has been wild when it comes to identity, and the things that I was talking about in September was the little footbed before you start climbing the mountain. And I feel like a week and a half ago was finally got to the overlook. And ever since, I've just been trotting on down, making my way back to the meadow. Like, just, that was nice. That was a nice view. And not without extreme difficulty, because like I was saying in my last video, I felt very much like an empty vessel, and like I was just carrying around this body, really, that had no value because I didn't know what was going on inside. I just had all of these thoughts and all of these feelings and questions, and I was like, question mark about everything. And man, I just watched it like 10 minutes ago, and hindsight is always 20/20, as they say. What really happened in these last 3 months was those same questions, like a revolving door in my head, and being really frustrated at not feeling physically grounded enough to process, not feeling like I had a community to process, not feeling like creatively things were flowing from me, so I felt like I couldn't process on my own either. Every area of my life that I was used to processing really heavy or deep things with was capped shut and locked, and I just I felt really stuck. And just at the beginning of this month, I had a couple of confrontations happen that really triggered me, like extremely, to a weird degree. And it made me step back and question what's here. Like, there is something here that I feel like I am hiding from. And I can't keep hiding from it because clearly whatever I'm doing is not working for generating connection in my life. And it wasn't even really a conscious decision, but I had heard of this prayer cabin retreat center that I had visited once before. And as soon as I reheard about it, it was mentioned again, I made a choice to go there and book like a 3-night stay there alone. And it was kind of for reasons other than I'm going to go and be this like really healthy individual and seek out healing and growth. Like, it was more like, I just want some peace and quiet. I live with 2 musicians. I love them to death, but I'm very easily overstimulated by noise. And there's a lot of rehearsing going on right now, and I just needed to have a break. It's essentially where I was at. And there was a lot of other things that were happening in my brain that amplified, like, you know, when things are going on mentally, it's very easy to like look at your external environment and things going on around you and say, these are all the reasons why I'm unhappy, which is not always true. Usually isn't true. So I was just finding any reason outside of myself to say, great, here's somewhere else I can go. And I found justifiable, holy reasons to go to. Like, I wasn't just like, oh, I just need a space. Like, I did say that, but I was also like, you know, I'm going to go for self-growth and healing, all that stuff. But that's, my intention wasn't that. I was really just mad and didn't really want to talk to God. I wasn't really interested. I was pretty mad deep down, and it was kind of just like, I felt like we were in the same house in 2 separate rooms, just living our lives together, and that's just how it was. I didn't feel like we were friends at all. And so I go to this retreat and have a phone call with 2 of my very dear friends from undergrad who I had a little poetry group with for a while, and it was just very sweet to hear from them. And I was given the space just to be really candid about what I've been experiencing lately. And it got to a point where I couldn't help but be honest, because after being so triggered and then having questions and feeling overstimulated, I just had to let things out. It was just fusing out, and I just shared everything with them and said some things while sharing that really piqued my interest. And after the phone call, I was really honest then with the Lord and sat on the loft bed looking up at this wood-paneled ceiling, kicking my feet up onto the ceiling and just having a tantrum, really. I was just having a tantrum and swearing and getting mad and telling God how I felt everything was his fault, and not caring about how I worded things and not caring what I said, and just being real about my heart. And what ended up coming out of that was facing the part of myself that longs for perfection and is highly motivated and driven by perfection, and acknowledging how much I hate that part of me. And that's very important, very important to this whole identity conversation, because I was never able to face that part of myself fully, and especially acknowledge that I hated it, that there was shame in that being a part of me. And because I never addressed that, and I always hid some of that away, or if I did address it, I would cover it up by this false humility, by saying things like, oh, I know, like, I'm a human and I make mistakes and I hurt people, and I acknowledge that these are the ways that I hurt people. But if I just do this and this and this, if I just read a self-help book, if I just go to therapy, if I just talk to enough people about it, if I just journal enough, that part will go away. Like, I'll change that and it won't make the same issues anymore. So I've got it covered. Like, I'm working on it, which was actually false humility, because I wasn't fully addressing and accepting and acknowledging this is a real part of what I bring to the table. Yes, it's a part I'm not proud of. Yes, it's a part that I'm shameful of. It's a part that hurts people. It's a part that hurts myself. But it's a part of me. And I was never able to say, this is a part of me. And accept that I can't do anything to change this. And that's a really scary thing to say and admit, because as soon as I say, I can't do anything to change this, I don't have the control anymore. And once I don't have the control, then what's going to happen to me? I'm scared, I'm afraid, anxiety. But there's actually more anxiety hiding from this real part of myself that's always existing and just ignoring that it's there and always trying to figure out a way to fix it. And then I'm constantly on this hamster wheel trying to reach an expectation that's way too high to reach. And then I'm never enough for this ideal I have out there. No one else is ever enough for this ideal I have out there. And I'm just exhausting myself constantly. I'm living in a place of fear and anxiety instead of like looking at this real part of myself and saying like, this is just a part of me. What do I do about it now? And here is the kicker. I realized once I said that this is the point of grace. This is what it means to understand grace, understanding my sinner self and accepting that's me. That is a part of me. I am not just this person that is all these amplified good things about me. I am equally a person that brings mistakes to the table, that is highly informed by my childhood trauma and the things that I've seen and the things that have been done to me and the things that I've done to other people that have scarred me back. You know, I am my sin, and I am the good things too. And if I can't take this sinner self and sit with the Lord in that, there is no way for me to know how he responds to it. But when I'm honest about it and I take this part of myself and I just give it to the Lord, and then I watch how he responds, by knowing him more in his response, I know myself through his eyes. And I did this at this retreat, and I said these words to him, these honest words, and he gave me grace. And that's very consistent with his character, but the difference is, since I was acknowledging fully my shame, accepting fully that I had this part of myself I didn't like, and I saw his grace for it, it deepened the level of trust and love that I experienced from him. Because if this is a part of me that can't change, and I hate it, it's icky and like this inky, globby thing in me that just feels stuck. Like, and he looks at that and doesn't even see death. Like, he just sees his son, like Jesus on the cross and his resurrection. And not only that, but he promises that all of this icky side of me can actually be something for good. Like two sides of a coin that only he can flip into the good side. And I realized that I had never fully understood his grace. And I don't think I fully understand it now, because I'm always understanding more and more the gravity and depth of my sin. But by accepting that I am a sinner just as much as I am a saint, actually allowed me to live more out of the saint. Because I can't live out of the goodness in me. I can't live out of the saint in me without God's grace and without his help. And if I'm not accepting the sinner in me and I'm hiding from it, I can't bring it to God, and then I can't receive his grace. And so it's like, the more I hide from these things, the more ashamed that I am, the more I allow that shame to keep me in the dark, the less that I can see God and the less that I can live from a place of goodness and love and truth. And it was like a very gentle process. Like it felt like a very organic thing. It wasn't just like, oh, it was like a slow reworking that was happening over this last like year and a half, I think. And then these last few months of like these really big questions, then 2 triggering confrontations that ultimately led me to this retreat and a breaking point where I was really honest. And then it's like they talk about, it sounds very Christianese, but it's like they talk about having the grace washed over you. That's what it felt like, was like, here's all my disgusting stuff. Don't you hate me? And he just goes, yeah, that's something that you do. Like, that is, you are infected by this thing, but you are my child and I want to help you. And I'm the only one that can help you. You're not actually supposed to do any of this yourself. You can and are allowed and are actually made for me to do it. I have unlimited capacity to withstand all of who you are. And the freedom in that is incredible. It's incredible. And I have this internal gentleness since that moment that I haven't felt for a long time about my identity and about who I am. Because I'm no longer trying to fix and change everything around me and myself either, but only when I'm asking for God's help. It's like a daily thing. I'm like, it's still in me. Like, I still have that tendency. It's still something that I bring to the table in my bad moments. In my weak moments, I should say. But when I ask for the Lord's help, He overpowers that fear and that shame that drives that tendency in me and makes it into something good, something that it was always meant to be. And I've noticed a significant change in my friendships, in the way that I handle conversations, in the way that I communicate my feelings to people, the way that I draw boundaries. I've noticed a change in my art even. Like, asking for the Lord's help is such a hack. Like, I did not understand the point before. I was like, what's the point of prayer if He already knows everything? What's the point of prayer if I can't control God and He's the all-powerful one who's going to do His will anyway? It's like, the point is not asking for help in the expectation that He's going to do what you want Him to do, but asking for His help so that you remind yourself to depend on His grace for living out of a place of love. And I feel so much more at rest, so much more at peace. I still have bodily symptoms of anxiety. I still get afraid, but instead of letting that fear motivate me and rule me, it's like, okay, Lord, help me with my expectations, and then doing the thing. Trusting that He wants those parts of me that do cause more ickiness and things that evoke my fear. Trusting that He'll change those things to something that's actually good when He's the one doing it and helping me. He feels like a friend again. He feels like I feel like I see him and he sees me, and that's a really good feeling. It's really good to be reconnected because he's my buddy and I really missed him. And it's making this identity conversation just... so many things make sense to me now. Way too many things for me to put in this video. But it was a big revelation. And I'm a big believer that understanding grace takes understanding the gravity of your own sin. And that's why when you truly understand the gravity of your sin, abusing grace isn't a thing. You can't abuse grace because you need to understand your sin before you understand grace. And if you understand your sin, you don't want anything to do with it because it's disgusting. And not disgusting in a shameful way. It's just like so dark and destructive and takes away everything that you want, like deeply want. So yeah, those are my updates from this last couple of months since the last video that I posted. I don't want this video to be too awfully long, so my other updates that are a little bit more circumstantial. I am now in this little room in the cabin. And it is very nice to have my own space. I have like shelves of books again, and I've got candles that I always light, as you can see. I have space to paint. I have a beautiful closet that Jed built. So I can see all the textures of my clothes and stuff again, which makes me really happy. I have linen bedding, which just feels like luxury to sleep on. I have this big window right by my bed that I can see the sunrise out of. It's very cozy in here. Doesn't come without its challenges, but I am very grateful for a space to stay and for very generous friends who are also artists too, because it makes for a very inspiring space to live. I am wanting to pursue grad school for poetry next year. Again, I already applied and didn't get in like a year or so ago, or not even a year ago. I can't even remember now. I think it was last fall. So I'm going to be working on my portfolio and really sharpening some of my work for that, shooting for that, debating between staying up north for the summer or going to the cities closer to some artistic community down there that I already have established. So still processing through some of that and trying to make a decision. What else? Not doing much except painting and writing. I have a whole notebook dedicated to poems only, and it really helps me to draft. And this is like my favorite notebook that Target has for stuff like that. I usually get Moleskine, I think that's how you say it, books for my journals, but I wanted something different for poetry, and like there's something about the paper in this and the leather binding, and it's all recycled. It just feels really nice to carry around, so I can throw that around. I've been working on my body in a way that enhances mobility and endurance and flexibility and helps with different pain as I get older instead of doing it for appearances. So, and then I am syncing my workouts with my cycle, which is life-changing, actually. It's incredible. I feel so much better overall. Working out and going to the gym, doing things that I actually intuitively want to be doing, different movements that I want to be doing. Really learning about my feminine health and learning financial wisdom and planning, which is really interesting and fun, actually. Will be learning more about how to market my business, leaning into that, planning for some travels, planning for a trip to Iceland in June, which I am thrilled about. I'm so excited to be out of country again. It's been so long. And then an upcoming conference that I have in Pennsylvania in April. So that'll be super cool as well. It's like a faith in writing conference that I'm going with one of my good dear friends. So that's my life right now. It's been a very quick winter by the grace of God. Again, not without its challenges, but really good overall. Really slow and needed. Allowing myself to sleep. And then segmenting the different mediums of art that I'm pursuing into different days. It's been really helpful to compartmentalize. And that's about all my life right now. Toodaloo.